Happy New Year, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the MCU Perspectives What If Edition. And what better way to ring in 2025 than by taking a look at episode 20 of Marvel's What If? What if Agatha went to Hollywood? Now, if you have not been keeping up with the Disney Plus shows, allow me to explain who Agatha Harkness is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Agatha Harkness is a witch, a very powerful witch at that. She has been around since the Salem witch trials, and how she typically operates is she steals other people's magic. What she does is that she basically just finds powerful magic users and then uses her own magic to siphon out theirs and add it to her own. Doing this allows her to stay eternally young and be strong, and unfortunately also leaves the people that she steals the magic from to end up being withered husks. For years she continued doing this, always trying to find new sources of power, until in the modern day she came across a very powerful witch in the form of Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. Having discovered the Scarlet Witch through the hex that she cast during the events of WandaVision, and then infiltrating the hex pretending to be her nosy neighbor in order to get close to her, learn her weaknesses, essentially sabotage the whole thing before she eventually tried to go in for the kill and steal Wanda's magic. While it ended in failure and resulted in her being permanently trapped in her hex persona as the nosy neighbor, she did eventually get free, and she wound up eventually going on a quest to try and retrieve her magic during the events of a show called Agatha All Along, which, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Moon Knight before it, I haven't watched because it wasn't important to any Marvel movie. But point is, Agatha Harkness tends to be a very power-hungry bitch who will do anything to get what she wants. However, what if Agatha Harkness found a different source of power, something that was just as equally tantalizing but would give her a far greater reward? And that's what happens during the events of this episode, as in the reality that this episode takes place in, as Agatha continued looking for new sources of power to try and make herself more powerful, she wound up discovering the celestial seed in the center of the earth, which, for those of you who haven't seen Eternals, that is quite literally just an egg that is supposed to be able to spawn a brand new godlike being called a celestial. And as such, Agatha realized that if she could tap into the power of this thing, then she'd basically become a god. The only problem is, she can't directly access it, and because this thing is so powerful, it will require a lot of prep work in order for her to actually set the proper conditions in order for her to safely take all that power in. As such, she decided that in order to, actually be compatible with it, she went Eternal hunting, as she went around the world and found the various members of the Marvel team, the Eternals, and one by one she wound up stealing their powers. Not enough to kill them and turn them into husks like she does with other people, but enough so that she can now safely use the powers herself. But as for getting the powers of Tiamat, the Celestial in the center of the earth, well, she kind of needed a little bit of extra. And that's where the title of the episode comes in, because she decided that if she was going to get that extra handiwork thrown in, she needed to go big, and who better to fund such a project than Howard Stark? As in this reality, he apparently went into the movies, which he probably did in the main MCU as well, but Agatha was able to convince him to fund a project of hers, a film called The Cosmic Queen, with Agatha herself acting as said Cosmic Queen, and that she'd basically just do this whole thing and set up this whole ritual in order for her to gain power and become the titular queen of the movie. Now, whenever in the eyes of the production staff working on the movie, this is all that it is. It's just a movie to them. They think that everything that Agatha's going to do is just special effects, and that she basically is just going to be putting on a show to please the masses. When in reality, Agatha is using the entire production as just a smokescreen in order for her to set up the ritual in order to take Tiamat's powers. Unfortunately, regardless of how big the show is becoming, Agatha keeps hitting snags, as everything that they've been doing has not been enough for her to directly tap into Tiamat's power. And as a result, she just keeps hitting, she's kind of left clueless and wondering what to do. And as such, she realizes that if she really wants to tap into Tiamat altogether, then she'll need the cooperation of every Celestial, or every Eternal, sorry. And there is one Eternal on Earth who she hasn't come across. Kingo, the guy who went to Bollywood and became a film star. She realizes that if she wants to get access to Tiamat's powers, then she'll need Kingo's help. And as such, she basically talks Howard into bringing Kingo on set because she needs a co-star, someone she can steal the show from, someone she can work on with, someone who will challenge her in the great battle, yada yada yada. Point is, Howard loves it, and so he basically just pulls enough strings to get Kingo to come to Hollywood. And well, Kingo is fully aware of who Agatha Harkness is and what she's trying to do. After all, she has been siphoning the powers of all of his friends, and as you do with the hierarchy of the Eternals, when one Prime Eternal is taken out, the mantle is passed on to another, and since most of the Eternals are now pretty much just locked away God knows where, Kingo has taken on the mantle of the Prime Eternal, and is fully aware of what Arishem has in store for the Earth, i.e., Celestial Seed, Earth go boom, and emergence. As such, he knows that Agatha is after the powers of Tiamat, and so he only agreed to come to this because he thought this was his only chance to try and stop Agatha. As such, he arrives on set, he has backup dancers, and it's admittedly a honestly over-the-top and fun performance, which Howard just eats up as Agatha and Kingo share the stage and basically have a tit-for-tat with one another. However, as this production goes along, they actually start getting serious as they begin actually using their powers to try and fight the other while still dancing to the music, with Howard encouraging it because, hey, it looks amazing, the camera loves it, whereas his butler Jarvis is freaking the hell out because this wasn't in the script. However, everything does seem to go off without a hitch, as Agatha and Kingo can't seem to do any real damage to each other. But either way, the scenes are shot, and Howard does eventually call it a wrap and tells everyone to go back to his place because he has a kick-ass after party going. Either way, as everyone leaves and Agatha and Kingo are the only ones left on the set, well, they end up getting into their own verbal sparring matches. Kingo talks about how he's not going to let Agatha get away with this, but Agatha basically puts up a front as she claims to Kingo that what she's doing, trying to steal Tiamat's powers, is for the greater good. After all, if Tiamat emerges, then the Earth will be destroyed, and the Earth's where all of her stuff is. She's not going to let anything happen to it. She has to stop it for the greater good. Of course, Kingo is loyal to Arishem, and even in the movie he would have sided with Arishem if it wasn't for the fact that meant fighting his friends, but in this continuity he doesn't have to fight his friends. He wants to make sure the emergence goes off without a hitch, and he basically is just telling Agatha that he will stop her. Agatha manages to convince him to work with her by promising that she can get him a film deal. Yep, a Celestial lived eons, and that's what he does, and that's what wins him over. Kingo once again proving why he's not the best Celestial. And Eternal. Sorry, I'm getting the names mixed up again. Point is, Agatha manages to convince Kingo to cooperate with her so she can get Tiamat's powers. However, the instant that the deal is struck, Arishem is fully aware that he's been betrayed, and he basically just contacts Kingo and Agatha and lets them both know he is right pissed, and he's coming to Earth to pretty much just wipe them out and pretty much just start fresh. As such, Agatha and Kingo realize that if they're gonna do this, they gotta do it soon. As such, they go to Howard's after party and try to tell him that they've got a burst of inspiration that they can film one final great scene for the third act of their movie, but they need somewhere to shoot. Which at first they think they can do the set, but apparently after filming was done, all the sets were slashed and torn down. And as such, Agatha and Kingo wonder where they can film, and they end up seeing an observatory they think will be a big enough space. And while Jarvis tries advising Howard against doing that, Howard says that with the production values they'll be going, he'll buy the place, also revealing that he is fully aware that Agatha is a witch and that Kingo is an Eternal. I honestly do kind of buy this. It's Howard Stark. The Starks tend to be able to know whatever the hell they want to know, so whatever. Point is, he's okay with this. As such, Howard, Jarvis, Kingo, and Agatha head to the observatory, and they once more set up the proper settings in order for Agatha's ritual to go. Painting the walls with various sigils, strapping Kingo into place, and basically setting Agatha up in the center of it all. And sure enough, basically Agatha is able to successfully perform her ritual, which in turn allows her to absorb enough of Kingo's power into herself that she's finally able to get that extra oomph that she needs, and she manages to tap right into the Earth and get a direct line to Tiamat, completely absorbing all of her power into her. And as a result, Agatha Harkness essentially becomes a Celestial, growing to giant size to the point where she actually outgrows the Earth and is now hovering over it. And I'll give credit where it's due. Celestial Agatha, she's beautiful. I admit it. She looks really cool. She looks cool. The radiant skin, the night sky, the glowing eyes, the way her dress just kind of drapes off her. She genuinely looks like a cosmic queen. It's cool. It's cool, and Howard's just eating that shit up as he's just filming the whole thing. However, this transformation could not have come sooner, because that no sooner does she does it that Arishem arrives, and while he is a little impressed that a lowly mortal like Agatha was able to absorb the powers of a Celestial, he still calls her a heretic and basically lets her know that under no uncertain terms he is going to obliterate her right where she is. As such, the two of them get into a literal cosmic clash as they actually start duking it out with one another. And yes, it is as stupidly awesome as you think it is. Unfortunately, while Agatha does manage to get a few good hits in, Arishem manages to turn the tide because, well, he's several thousand eons older than her, and he begins just wiping the floor with her. As such, Agatha does try to turn the table as she starts trying to blast at Arishem, but she seems to miss every single time, which Arishem just kind of mocks her for a little, only for Agatha to reveal that she wasn't trying to hit Arishem. Rather, she just wanted to lull him into a false sense of security. What those blasts are really doing? She set up a pentagram behind Arishem, one that once it activates actually holds Arishem in place, and before Arishem can even get the chance to try and get out of it, Agatha does what she does best, and she siphons Arishem's power right out of him, pretty much just causing Arishem to explode right there in space, pretty much giving Agatha the power of two Celestials. As such, the world is saved now. Arishem is no more. Tiamat is now literally just a dead husk of a Celestial in the center of the Earth, so everything's all good, right? No, it ain't. This is still Agatha Harkness, everybody, and like I said, her playing the reluctant hero was just that, a role, a part. She does not give a shit about the Earth. All she wanted was the power. She's now got the power, and so after Arishem is gone, she pretty much just looks down to the Earth and tells everyone that they're better off kneeling to her. As such, Kingo realizes that if they don't talk her down at this moment, the world is just straight up fucked, as with her power, she can mold into whatever form she chooses. However, given a few words of inspiration from Jarvis about how she can be a difficult actress, but Kingo realizes that there is a way that he can try and talk her down. As such, using his celestial connection, he does get in contact with Agatha personally, and he basically tells her that he understands what she's going through, how long she's been at this, and why she craves all this power, why she rises to such lengths. It's because, quite frankly, she just wants everyone to see her, and when it comes down to it, that's what they do. The thing is, in the movies, they create new life. They can inspire people. They can bring joy to their lives. They can do, and she basically just tells her that with her power she is grand. But if she joined up with him and basically continued her work as an actress, they could instead create brand new worlds together and basically allow everyone to look at them with adoration instead of fear. And basically, it is just enough of a speech that Agatha does consider it and realizes that she would rather have people looking at her with love rather than with honest to goodness fear. And as a result, she does decide to agree with Kingo, as she basically allows herself to become mortal once more. And as a result, the film Cosmic Queen is finished, and the red carpet is rolled out on its premiere. It would have been hilarious if the film bombed. I don't know why. Either way, Howard Stark is just blown away by how great this film is going to be, because he filmed literally every single thing with Agatha, so he basically thinks he's got a great movie here. And Agatha and Kingo have basically just formed an impromptu partnership, as they basically think it's better that they continue working together. And thankfully, as part of their little deal, Agatha did release the remaining Eternals and did give them back their powers. And as such, Kingo talked about how all of them are a little concerned with what Agatha did, but Agatha once again brushes it off. But it turns out that they are also concerned for another thing. Agatha took out two Celestials, and Kingo knows that will probably get the attention of any other Celestials out there in the universe, and they'll probably come for Earth. But Agatha thinks that they'll deal with that when they deal with that. They can leave enough open for a sequel, right? And as such, with that out of the way, Agatha and Kingo basically go out to go see the new premiere, and the film ends as we see the Watcher looking over them, happy that they can at least have a happy ending. Though he admits that maybe it's nice to have a cliffhanger, as behind him we see several Celestials just come into view, which I just kind of love the idea of the Celestial's just standing there waiting patiently for the Watcher to finish up his narration. I don't know why. I find that hilarious. So, yeah, that is What If Agatha Went to Hollywood. My thoughts on it? Okay, yeah, I honestly don't, I think, look, I want to say this, I don't think this episode's awful by any means. I definitely had moments throughout the episode where I enjoyed myself and just kind of gave into the stupid, but in terms of story, this episode is odd, to say the least. I guess. I don't know. I think the major problem with this movie is that the first 2/3 of it really feel like they have way too much... really don't feel like they're trying to rush through things as quickly as possible. I mentioned, but like, going back to when I talk how the point of divergence between this universe and the main MCU, with Agatha having discovered the celestial seed of Tiamat in the Earth, that wasn't shown to us in the episode. That was given to us via exposition from the Watcher. And as a result, it just kind of flashes by you rather quick, and just kind of basically just says, okay, here's a setup. Now here's Agatha in Hollywood. But then likewise with the other quick explanation being, oh well, she got Howard Stark to help film her project because she knew she couldn't absorb that much power without a ritual, and she needed resources to get the ritual, so she went to him. And so, again, it's just kind of rushed through and really does not give you time to really get a feel for the situation and get invested in the characters and what's going on. And likewise, it's the same thing for the second third of the episode as Kingo is brought onto the set and he and Agatha have their tit for tat. Again, you know Kingo enough so that you can still recognize him, but him and Agatha clashing feels a little too quick for my taste, especially when it's during the battle we hear Kingo talk about how he knows about what Agatha's planning, that he's already aware who Tiamat is, and that he's now the prime Eternal since all the other Eternals have been basically sucked dry by Agatha. It's just very quick exposition that tries rushing out there as much as possible to try and get you up to speed on what's happening in the story without really giving us enough time to properly digest what we're seeing on screen. To kind of put it one way, the episode emphasizes style over substance. And I admit, the style is beautiful. To give a compliment to the episode, this episode loves its production values. It's animated, of course, so obviously all they had to do was just kind of do some CGI and cell shading and make it all work, but it looks spectacular. During the scene where Agatha and Kingo have their little showdown on set, it's actually really well done. I loved the exaggerated dance moves that Kingo and Agatha have in conjunction with their backup dancers. I love their little chemistry together. I love how they're kind of charmed by each other, while at the same time basically talking about how they're not going to let the other person get away with what they're doing. And then they bring out the flashy superpowers, and it's honestly really damn cool, and I kind of love it for that. I loved seeing them actually get together. I love seeing their... I love the third act with seeing Agatha grow to cosmic clashes, which, I'll say this right now, the third act is probably the best part of the episode, especially seeing Agatha grow to such literal cosmic proportions and duke it out with Arishem, where she manages to overpower him and steal his powers as well. That is genuinely fucking awesome. But the first 2/3 of the episode honestly don't feel as grand. Again, the style is still really damn impressive and really fun and cool to look at. It's just that the substance it's lacking. There's no nutrients. There's no meat on these bones. It looks pretty to look at, but otherwise doesn't really have a lot of anything of value to give you. Even some of the jokes thrown into the episode don't really seem that funny. It's cool. I admit, I do like seeing the egos of Agatha and Kingo clashing throughout the episode, but likewise, some of the jokes that they have at what's going on in the situation don't really hit as much of a zeitgeist as they should. I admit the stuff with Howard's a little amusing, especially as he gets more and more into the role of a Hollywood director, but even that still kind of feels a little out of place as the episode goes along, and he realizes he's bearing witness to literal cosmic forces duking it out over his planet, and he's like, oh, this will make great footage, as he just keeps filming. And I'm like, I understand he's a Stark and he sees opportunity wherever he goes, but what is wrong with you, man? It's just very, very weird, and it kind of annoying, and it just kind of doesn't click with me. It doesn't really get me giggling. giggling. In fact, even the stuff with Kingo, I admit was just kind of funny, which I don't like saying, because again, I love Kumail Nanjiani, and they brought him back to play Kingo in this episode, and I still love that. He still turns in a great performance. Love this guy. I love this guy. He's great. But again, much like with Kingo in Eternals, the jokes with him are just kind of a little weird. Although I will say I was kind of amused when he talked about how when he wanted to get his movie deals, he talked about all these various things he wanted to do, and he starts doing them right there in the episode while Agatha's just watching him thinking, the fuck's going on? I admit that's funny. But the fact that he basically just threw his eons old mission into the trash just so that he could get a great movie deal is something. It feels a little out of place. I will say there is maybe one scene that does come back and help, as Agatha, in order to get Kingo to her side, talks about how he knows what it's like to be a star in the movies and to be adored by the people, and she uses his movies as reference, and he says, yeah, I do get that, I understand, I do understand, and I do kind of like how Kingo uses that to his advantage as well, as he talks Agatha down from being a Celestial by basically saying the same thing, that people look up to them that people see them as stars because of the movies, that they can bring joy to people and not be feared by them because of it. And I like that. I at least do like that, and I do at least like that connection and how it plays back into the episode. It's just that the first 2/3 feel very rushed in that regard, and feel more like they're trying to that rather than trying to tell a compelling story and actually let everything set in, they're just trying to get through the scenario as quickly as possible just so they can get to the fun, flashy stuff, which the flashy stuff is good. I will not deny that. I think it is rather fun, and like I said, if you just want to judge the episode by the style it's given, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things in the episode that I did genuinely enjoy when I was watching this. Again, the dance scene with Kingo and Agatha. Genuinely great. I loved Agatha and Kingo's chemistry throughout the episode as we see their clashing egos just coming together. The battle between Agatha and Arishem is awesome. Seeing Agatha become the literal cosmic queen is amazing and great. And even the ending as the Watcher basically talks about how, everyone loves a good cliffhanger, as we see the Celestials just hovering behind him, is again pretty damn cool. It's pretty damn cool, and at least kind of plays into the fun nature of the episode. And I'll give credit where it's due. The episode is more concerned with trying to have fun with what it's doing rather than than actually telling a full story. And in that regard, I think it does work. It's just that everything to try and get you to all these cool set pieces just kind of feels lacking. It feels like there's too much thrown at you. The humor isn't really as good as it should be, and as a result, it doesn't really allow these things to set in. And you kind of don't really care that much about these versions of the characters beyond knowing that they're from the MCU. I recognize Agatha, and as a result, I know enough about her to know that she's playing Kingo like a fiddle when she talks about how she wants to save her world. And likewise, Kingo is Kingo. He is pretty much exactly like he was in the movie, annoying in various bits, but being serious when he absolutely has to be. So again, good on him. Good on him. Still my least favorite Eternal, but still not bad. I still like him. Okay, look. He can be complex. Okay, I'm gonna defend. So again, I'll defend Eternals. I loved that movie. I don't care what everyone else says. I loved it. But the point is, when it comes down to this episode, well, it's got a lot of amazing set pieces that do kind of help basically allow it to stand out in some areas, and I'll still give credit that I like that we are getting acknowledgement of Eternals and other MCU related material. When it comes down to the episode as a whole, it's just sort of in terms of quality. It's got amazing set pieces and great highs and fun parts, but getting to those fun parts just feels rushed, and you don't feel as emotionally invested in the episode as you feel like you need to be. And as a result, despite me having some incredible highs when we got to those in the episode, as a whole, What If Agatha Went to Hollywood is just kind of an episode to me. I don't hate it. I don't think it's awful, but it definitely should have had more meat on the bone, so to speak, in order for it to stand out more. So take that with what you will. Again, you probably will remember this episode more based on the set pieces, but episode as a whole is just kind of Again, if the style is enough for you to keep the episode strong, then I think you will like this episode. Like I said, there are things about it that I do genuinely like, and there are things that I could easily see myself coming back to this episode for, just to see them again. But again, episode as a whole, just a little So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I hope to see you next week as we actually take a look at two Captain America adjacent characters meeting earlier than they should have. So till then, I hope you have a good New Year's Day, and take care.